Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah says government expects allegations of corruption to focus on verifiable facts and not mere conjecture. Speaking at the minister's press tour and briefing at Techiman in the Borno East region, he said the fight against corruption will be difficult if it's merely based on allegations, and that persons who want to make claims must back them with facts to enable anti-graft state agencies properly investigate. He also says President Akufo-Addo will later today outline major achievements made by this government in fighting against corruption at the Ghana Bar Association conference in Takoradi.
Government also expects that the anti-corruption fight will focus on facts, verifiable facts, rather than conjecture and suspicion. And that should pave way for tangible, verifiable action in our fight against corruption in Ghana. We live in a country where we are all, interested in fighting corruption. And this administration is very keen on that. But it is difficult to fight corruption where it resorts, or where the resort is to mere allegations and speculations, because that is very easy to do. In Twi, I think we say, as has been said in times past, the name of the game is evidence. And so we have to get more into the space where corruption allegations are investigated and evidence is adduced. Persons who want to make allegations or charges of corruption back it with the necessary evidence, so that the state agencies, whether it's CID, IOCO, Office of the Special Prosecutor, SHRAD, wherever, they can investigate properly, get that evidence, and then where it is established, take action in that area. And we also continue to encourage that people back it with evidence that can be validated and acted upon. Else, we will be in this perpetual exercise where we just cast allegations and aspersions against each one of us, and it becomes difficult to establish any of these and act upon them accordingly.
Let's stay on corruption, because former General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana, Reverend Dr. Opuni-Frimpong, has questioned the country's seriousness in the fight against corruption. He explained his doubts in an interview with ABC News.
Now, corruption fight in Ghana, sometimes when I wake up in the night, deep in the night, I ask myself, are we serious? Do we really mean to fight corruption in this country? What I have seen is like always those in government are corrupt, those in opposition are innocent. When the tables turn, then those who were yesterday in government but today in opposition become angels, innocent. And then the angels who have now become, people in government now are the corrupt people. And as long as people are in government, they are corrupt, because that's what the opposition will want you to believe. And everybody in the minority becomes a saint. And the way we have given political color to corruption fight and corruption in this country, that when somebody is even alleged, quickly you get party faithfuls fighting back in media, coming around, protecting their own. On that basis, I'm asking the question, are we serious? Do we really mean to fight corruption?
Now let me bring you another perspective. For Chairman of the National Development Planning Commission, Professor Stephen Adair, reviewing the law could help in the fight.
I think that we must also protect people who report corruption in their workplace. We shouldn't allow them to be victimized as a result of their saying that the boss has done wrong. Of course, there will be perceptions. Some of them will be investigated and will not be true. But it's better for us to go the extra mile than to say that, I think that our law fundamentally is wrong, that you are not guilty unless proven otherwise. When you have a lifestyle that allows you to live in a tricycle building where you have no evidence of supporting, it is you who must change our law. You have to account for it. I am one of those who believe that when people work, they are entitled to the sweat of their labor. But people who do that should not be ashamed to be able to say, Stephen Adair, you are living in a 2 million house. Show how you got your 2 million.
Different perspectives in how we can fight or deal with corruption. Joining us on the phone now is Senna Do, who is a member of Citizen Ghana, Senna Do, I beg your pardon, Senna Do, who is a member of the Citizen Ghana movement. Thank you so much for your time this morning, sir. We've heard from Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah, who says, look, if you're going to make an allegation, be ready to back it with evidence. The argument for many is that I may have just chanced on someone engaged in a certain activity that could point to corruption. I may not have the resources at my disposal to go investigate or gather enough evidence. Do you think that the statement by the Information Minister helps at all in people wanting to suggest information to anti-graft agencies to further investigate issues of corruption?
Thank you. First of all, just to point out with citizens' movement against corruption. Now, the assumption that it is the responsibility of everyone who has information to have to back it up, I think that begins to take away from making everyone a vigilante and a patriot who just wants to make sure the right thing is done. The thing is to have the processes in place where any information that is alleged is taken through scrutiny so that the facts can be ascertained. And if indeed something untoward has happened, the necessary actions to, as it were, punish people who have been found culpable are taken. I don't think that in any society where we want to task the ordinary citizen who doesn't have the wherewithal to begin to have to do the investigation and to ascertain the facts before speaking would help. So while it may be good intentions from a government perspective, it does not add to the fight against corruption to take that kind of posture.
So how do we deal with the other side, which could also be the excesses of some people who may just go around, you know, just destroying people's reputation and saying things that they may not have some evidence to, but probably may have cited or chanced on a certain situation. How do you deal with the other side of the coin?
I think that having very legitimately and well consolidated processes where we all know that anytime there's an allegation, it is going to go through 5 steps. An independent institution or group of consultants or whatever will be asked to investigate. The facts ascertained will be published. Those facts will then be compared with the law. Let's say that's stage 3. Anyone found to have breached a law, the 4 will be listed. The 5, those people will then be, as it were, sent through the legal system to be prosecuted. In other words, if we go to step 3 and the facts have been ascertained and you are not culpable, that too will be published to indicate that these people are cleared based on this set of facts. The challenge we've had is so far, people are being cleared without reportage on the investigations being put in the public space for everybody to be comfortable that truly the investigation was done, the facts were ascertained. Nobody else in the public space has additional facts which have not been considered, and therefore the conclusion that A is not guilty, has not been found culpable, is a true reflection of what transpired. So we need to, as it were, have a clear system which is used whether you are rich, you are poor, middle class, upper class. We all know that this is what will be followed, and we all respect those processes to the extent that there are independent organizations that or institutions of state that are doing the investigation, that are reporting and that are telling us you are culpable or not, and the same is equally published within the media space.
Professor Stephen Adair brings an interesting perspective to this conversation. He says maybe you should change the laws. If you have so much or you have a lot of property dotted across the country, you should prove to us how you were able to acquire that instead of asking the other party or the person alleging corruption to prove it. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that?
No,
thinking?
I'm not quite sure that Professor Adair got it right this time, and the reason is simple: we have an excess of laws in this country, and the real challenge is enforcement. The Asset Declaration Law seeks to address what he's talking about. the intention in most jurisdictions is that anyone getting into public office does a clear declaration of all their assets, which is available, publicly available for people to check and tell whether somebody truly has declared everything. So that as you move along, if we begin to discover that in comparison with your sources of income, there has been an expanded increase in your asset base, which cannot be attributed to the legitimate sources of income that you have, we can hold you accountable and call you before a court of law and say, how did you get this property, etc. It is a lack of enforcement of existing laws. And indeed, if you look at asset declaration law already, it is defective to the extent that it is kept in an envelope and it can only be opened under certain conditions, etc., etc. We need a reform of that law and not new laws.
All right. To my final question to you. The former chairman of the General Secretary, I beg your pardon, of the Christian Council thinks, look, point blank, we aren't serious, that's it. In one breath, you are in power, you speak a different language. When you're in opposition, you speak a different language. And he thinks that this kind of, juggling of position based on where you are in power clearly shows that we aren't serious as a nation in dealing with the fight. Would you agree with him?
There's to a large extent, it's a growing trend that worries all of us, because now the credibility of the political elite and system we have is being brought into question. We've seen this trend tend back and forth as we've gone through the Fourth Republic, all the first, second, third, fourth, and all the stages of it, and how when one party in opposition moves into government and how the positions are turned. And it is extremely worrisome. It tells of a deeper-rooted challenge, which I think is our values. We need to begin to look at the next generation of politicians and elite and what kind of values are they standing for. It appears that our value systems have been corroded, probably are non-existent. They are not promoting the kind of integrity, hard work, and honesty that should, as it were, reflect the leadership of government in all kinds of political classes and parties. And I think that's a bigger issue we need to be thinking about, because it's a reflection of ourselves. If all the parties that come into government keep doing the same thing, then it is not necessarily about the party per se, but about the people. And we need to take a good look at ourselves and what kind of values we hold here.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. And you heard the Senna Do. He is with the citizen movement against corruption, and we've been talking about all the angles to the fight against corruption we've heard over the weeks, especially the one made by the Information Minister, Kojo Opuni-Frimpong, on persons who make allegations providing evidence to back them.